this one. We are a month away from the Major League Baseball season, and we have to bring in the queen of the diamond, Ariel Epstein, propqueen.com. I know she's got a little extra pep in her step, not only because her website is thriving, but because of the fact that her favorite, the baseball season, is upon us. Is that right, Ariel?
JJ, whenever I see spring training games on TV, it just gets me feeling some type of way. I remember back in college, we both went to Q's. I remember back in school, I'd be sitting in class. The Yankees had their first spring training game. I always was watching it somewhere, like on my phone, on an iPad. Whenever it was spring training, I was on.
Well, we love that. We need you to be on. We need some futures here for the East Coast Bias Boys, and of course, here on FanDuel TV. Let's start with something that's near and dear to your heart. The Yankees. They are favorites to win the American League. No surprise. They have improved their pitching staff. Their lineup has taken a major step back because Juan Soto took his talents across the RFK Bridge and now is going to be a New York Met. Ariel, I think the Yankees will win regular season games. I don't think they're going to score as many runs. As far as the win total, as far as where they stand in the AL, you think they deserve to be favorites to win the league?
They should be the favorites solely because they are the reigning American League champions. No one else got significantly better this offseason in the American League to knock the Yankees off the throne as reigning champs. I wouldn't bet the Yankees to win the division. I'm not going to bet the over on their win total. I'm really not betting anything Yankees related in the futures market. My whole take on any team that's favored to win their division, unless it's one of the central teams who might be a little more inexperienced, you bet them to win the World Series. Don't take them at plus 100, plus 180. Like, don't take these teams like the Phillies to win the division. If you're going to bet the Yankees to win, then bet them to win the AL or bet them to win the World Series. It's a much better payout. If you expect a team like the Yankees to win the division, that means you're expecting the Yankees to host at least the divisional round of the playoffs, and that hopefully gets them into the championship. So you might like the championship series. So you might as well have the Yankees to win the World Series if you're going to, or the AL, if you're going to be betting them in the futures market.
Fair enough. Okay, two teams within the division that have hopes for winning the division. Not going to look at Tampa Bay. I'm not going to look at Toronto, who I think is going to be a seller at the deadline. It's the Orioles with all of their young talent. Last year, they were everybody's darling. They flamed out at the end of the regular season. They lose to Kansas City in the playoffs. And then you have the team, Ariel, that begrudgingly I really like this year, the Red Sox. I think they had an awesome offseason. Crochet, Walker Buehler, Bregman, who fits that ballpark beautifully. You know how I feel about Alex Cora. I locked in the Red Sox as an over. Thoughts on that? And out of the two, Boston, Baltimore, who do you like more going into the year?
I like that you're high on the Red Sox. I am a little worried because everyone I know and their mother is obsessed with the Red Sox right now in the futures market. You're right. They got better. What do we know about anything in sports? Defenses win championships. In baseball, pitching wins you championships. The Red Sox did that. They added to their rotation. Granted, last year it was the bullpen that was the issue, not so much the starting rotation. However, the Red Sox added Garrett Crochet, who's coming off the best season of his career. Walker Buehler, if he stays healthy, huge veteran presence to add. Plus, you still have your younger guys like Tanner Houck and Brian Bayo. The bullpen's where I'm a little questionable on the Red Sox, but their lineup is so freaking good. I would take the Red Sox over the Orioles solely for pitching. The Orioles have Grayson Rodriguez, and everyone else afterwards is just a complete downward spiral. You lost your ace, Corbin Burns. All the Orioles had to do was keep Corbin Burns and have a solid number two. Sure, Grayson Rodriguez maybe is that, and you could say it's him and Zach Eflin. The Orioles got so much worse without Burns. Now, I will tell you this. I was looking up the Orioles a couple years ago prior to Burns. They really didn't have much of a starting rotation in 23 either, and they still had a great season. I will not discredit anything that Hyde does. Great manager. I would at this point, though, based on pitching, have to give the Red Sox the edge over the Orioles and hope that maybe the Orioles do something midseason at the deadline.
Okay, Ariel, let's flip it over to the NL East. You have three outstanding teams. I think you have three teams that'll be in the playoffs this year. In the Braves, the Phillies, who won the division last year, and the Mets, who spent almost $1 billion on Juan Soto to take him from the New York Yankees. Now, the Braves got to get Acuna back and Strider back. The Phillies have questions about that bottom of the order. And then you get to the Mets. I mean, that starting rotation, hide the women and children. I mean, Clay Holmes is their number 3 starter going into the start of the year. They're basically having auditions to see who the 4th and the 5th starters are going to be. That said, I like the lineup. I like the bullpen. And Cohen and Stearns are going to add to the team. So the odds on FanDuel have all of these 3 teams jumbled together. They're all right there, neck and neck to win the division. They're all neck and neck as far as World Series price is concerned. I defer to you. Braves, Mets, Phillies, out of those 3, who do we like the most and who kind of screams the most buyer beware?
I like the Phillies the most. They've still got one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball because with Wheeler and Nola, it's going to be tough to even get a series over them. Plus, the Braves, I'm worried about the pitching. You said Strider. Schwellenbach had a great year last year. It was his rookie year. How does he bounce back in a sophomore campaign? Chris Sale, he never stays healthy more than 1 full season straight. Is he going to stay healthy for a second straight year coming off of Cy Young? A lot of the time, Cy Young winners get hurt the next season. I'm worried about Sale staying healthy the whole year. So that's a concern for the Braves. The Phillies have the better lineup. The Mets, great lineup. They're a team, when you, JJ, I know you love football like I do. When you look at football, and a great guy, Warren Sharp, does great data analysis. One of his things that he does is he equates how teams did in close situations and got lucky versus how teams did and got unlucky. A lot of the time, Sharp says in the NFL with these teams that got unlucky tend to get lucky the next year, and teams that got lucky tend to be unlucky the next year in close situations. That's how I'm looking at the Mets. They got lucky last year. Don't get me wrong. They did great offensively, and their pitching came through at the right times. However, is that going to be the case? Can we expect the Mets to get that lucky again this year with absolutely zero pitching outside Kodai Senga? Your starting rotation's already hurt. You mentioned it. The 4-5, basically running auditions. We don't even know what Clay Holmes looks like as a starter in the last 5 years. I'm concerned about the Mets, and it's not because, I know everyone knows I'm a Yankees fan. It has nothing to do with that. I'm just saying from a gambling perspective, how can I bet on a team that barely has any starting pitching? And I know you have me do awards, so I'll tell you an award about with the Mets, when we're down the road, but I do have a way to bet the Mets that might not necessarily be betting them to win a division.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you mentioned an award. Give me an award prop. There's so many out there. You could have so much fun or drive yourself to drink on MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year. So, Ariel, I'm giving you full board. Give me 1 or 2 that you like.
The way I would play the Mets, comeback player of the year, Kodai Senga. If the Mets are in playoff contention, the Mets, it has to be because Kodai Senga is pitching like an ace. 2 years ago, so prior to this year where he pitched 1 game, 2 years ago, Senga was 5th in ERA in all of baseball, 8th in strikeouts in the National League. And that was his first season. Now imagine he comes in essentially a full second year. He had that shoulder strain, which kept him out most of last season. However, he came back, and then it was a calf injury. So it wasn't really so much about the arm the second time around. So as long as Kodai Senga is actually healthy, he has 40-1 odds to win the Cy Young. I don't see the Mets really. I see the award. I know this is now a gut feel thing, which I hate, but the awards are so biased towards stars. Kodai Senga, if he's up against a bigger name pitcher for Cy Young, is not winning. He can win comeback player of the year, though, and that's going to be their cop-out if he's having that great of a year.
Let's get to some totals over-under perspective. Give me 1 over. ALNL, whatever one you like. Your favorite over right now on the board, Ariel.
Favorite win total over Detroit Tigers over 83.5 wins.
Ooh, I like this. We're on board together with this one.
We were talking about it.
I'm a believer in AJ Hinch. I like this. I like it.
AJ Hinch, after his first couple of seasons in Houston, ended up going on 4 straight years of 100-plus wins. They added Jack Flaherty, so that's going to be big to the starting rotation as a 1-2 to Skubal. Top 5 bullpen last year. Did such a good job, Hinch, of managing the back end of that bullpen. Pitching is everything to me. I always assess teams based on pitching. And when you've got a decently strong starting rotation than a strong bullpen. And let's not forget that this team upset the Houston Astros in the wild card round last year and took it to a Game 5 against the Guardians in the ALDS. Detroit, they're young players now. They're confident. They haven't won a division yet with Hinch. It's taken him now into his 4th season to get into the playoffs. This is when they finally get over that hump and AJ Hinch gets the Tigers to really being serious contenders.
Right there with you. I like Detroit. I like their offseason. I like their manager, young talent. That's an over. That's a team that probably wins the division. I think they'll be right there with Kansas City. Now, I need an under. Who's the team that was selling stock in 25, Ariel?
Okay. I have ties to Baltimore. They're going to hate me, but I have been riding the Orioles
Sorry, you're a football Baltimore fan. That's
I know.
it. You can still go to Ravens games. It's allowed.
Sorry, Ravens.
It's okay, Lamar.
Yeah, I guess Baltimore broke my heart way too many times in the last few years. The Orioles are an under for me now. 88.5 wins. That rotation again, G-Rod, Zach Eflin, Charlie Morton. I know they got Sugano from Japan and then Dean Kramer. There's no ace. And I know their lineup's young and fun. How much longer can the Orioles continue to just rely on this young lineup to get them wins? And I know Bautista's coming back, which will be big for Cano because that was hurting him last year too. I just am very worried about being in a much tougher American League this year. It's not even just the AL East because, of course, the Red Sox got better. But the AL Central is going to be a gauntlet. The AL West is probably still going to have at least 3 strong teams. The Orioles at 88.5 wins, it just seems a bit high. Now, granted, I said before, I don't like to rule out that coaching staff. They've done a very good job. But again, I think the Orioles' luck at this rate with no pitching is going to have to run out because I just don't trust the starting pitching to stay in games for this offense to have to outslug you.
Final one. You got to give us a little stamp of approval here. I got it with the Tigers. Didn't even know I was going to get it, which is great news. But Joe House, who I do the show with, and yours truly, have fired on 2 plays. I'm a Tito Francona fan, Ariel. I saw him for years with the Red Sox. Cleveland took them to the World Series. I think a team with basically a positive run differential last year in the Reds, it's going to be better. I'm taking their over. We're taking it together at over 79.5. The other one we like. You notice managers is the theme for me. I like the old school manager. Bruce Bochy fits the bill. Tito Francona fits the bill. Texas Rangers to win the AL West. Can I get you on board with both of those?
Gosh, to win their divisions? If anything, I would say the Reds over on the win total. I would be more towards than the Rangers to win the division. Every year, the Astros just find a way. Every season. And I know that that's such a Tom Brady, don't bet against him or Mahomes cop-out. The Astros, I always am a fan of betting them to win the division at the midway point of a season. They always start off slow, and then they end up winning the division in the second half of the year. My play on the West is always to get the best value on the Astros to win the division until the Rangers, who are now essentially relying on DeGrom to make a comeback. Let's wait and see how he does. And JJ, this is why I tell people all the time, because it is February 26th as we are recording this. I have had so many people this week ask me to come on to talk baseball because we're in such a dead time until March Madness.
It's time. We're a month away. It's time.
Right.
It's baseball time.
Except we're 1 week into spring training. And what happens in spring training? Pitchers go down. We saw this happen with the Yankees and Garrett Cole last year. That was tough. And you didn't know if he was going to come back, and luckily
they survived
did.
It. To be fair, they survived it.
They did, but sometimes teams don't. And are you really going to bet on a team? Let's say last year, Garrett Cole goes down. Were you going and running to the window to bet the Yankees? No. I mean, low number probably when he went down, sure. But that's my concern. So I always am I'm way more of a wait and see until the second or third week of spring training, as opposed to just hopping on. Now, there are some teams that I absolutely love. I love the Diamondbacks. I would bet them to make the playoffs because they have Corbin Burns and Zach Gallen. So I have faith that at least having one of them should be good. There are teams, though, that I am very nervous about a lot of the times because if you've got one ace, things could happen in spring training. So just buyer beware.